Morning, Dan and fellow Toastmasters. This morning I thought I'd talk to you about CRC. Now, CRC is the oil that makes every speech worth doing, because without any feedback, there's no point in doing a speech. And it's the oil that makes it all worthwhile. I remember my very first speech. It was called Kabani Wena, and I remember the feedback I got. And that was to say, it's okay to have butterflies. Speaking will help you to fly in formation. And I've never forgotten that as long as I've been a Toastmaster. Now, I'm sure you've also sat and listened to a speech, whether you've been an evaluator or not, and you've thought to yourself afterwards, what do I say? What would I say about a speech like this? Sometimes it's very hard to give an evaluation. So I thought I would just give you a couple of tips to help you just smooth the way into the speech. If you can remember these three words, when we give a speech, we hear the speech. And the next thing that it affects us is what we saw, because the spoken word and the visual word, what we see, connects the two together. And then the final element is what we felt. So remember, it's what we heard, it's what we saw, and how we felt. Now, how are we going to put that together with the idea of putting it into a CRC? The idea is to write down the things you hear. You hear the volume, perhaps, or maybe the person's confidence. You can see their confidence. And then we move on to what you saw. And that could be the position, it could be the handling of their notes, or anything like that. And the final thing is how you felt about the speech. And that could be that you felt that they were prepared, or things like they were talking at us, or they were talking to us. Big difference. So what I would suggest you do is you write down what you hear, what you see, and how you feel. And then below that, stick in CRC. And as you're listening to the speech and you're absorbing what is being said, you go and write those words down as you feel and see them. Then when it comes to delivering your speech, next to the C, put in a nice sweet bit about the speech. And then in the recommendation, a recommendation for them. And the final commendation is something positive. And finally, the most important thing is that you give the person privately another recommendation, perhaps the one that you really wanted to give, but not in public. So those are my recommendations for you to do it. And just to help you along, I just put up a little printed thing which Vicky will hand out to you after this. And hopefully, Vicky, you're very kind to me in your evaluation. So there we are. That's a simple way of setting up your evaluation the next time you give it a crack.